Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Adrienne Montgomery. I'm with ERP VAR. We're going to be talking about Acumatica and automating manufacturing production, shipping, and payments using the Scanco application. Richard Kurtzer is going to talk about automating the manufacturing process with the Scanco solution. We have Matt St. John with us. He's a sales executive over at V Technologies. He represents the StarShip solution, automating all the shipping processes coming out of Acumatica. And we also have Patty Benitez, Senior Vice President of Sales over at American Payment Solutions. She's going to be talking about payment processing, integrated payment processing. And just a little bit about the companies before we get started here. Acumatica is quickly becoming a leader in the mid-market ERP space. They deliver adaptable cloud and mobile technology with a unique all-inclusive user licensing model. They enable real-time view of business anytime, anywhere. Through their network of partners, they offer Acumatica all over the country and worldwide with their full suite of integrated business management applications, including financials, distribution, manufacturing, project accounting, CRM, and much more. They're the only real, true cloud ERP platform designed for mid-sized customers from the ground up. And we're, as I said, we're joined by Richard with Scanco, and they are a leader in automating warehouse management processes. They have been offering their solutions since 1989, and they meet the needs of thousands in distribution and manufacturing companies by providing their seamlessly integrated real-time warehouse management application that resides on those iOS, Android, and Windows devices that the picking and packing and warehouse management folks can roam around the warehouse using those wireless devices to do all their scanning of the packages and boxes, and also on the manufacturing floor to automate those manufacturing processes and interacting in real time with Acumatica. American Payment Solutions, they're a leader in merchant services and payment processing, integrated payment processing. The great thing about American Payment Solutions is that they can take all the information that's required to achieve the lowest rates through level 3 credit card processing and serve them up to those credit card processing companies to get the lowest rate with all the data related to the customer, the required data for level 3 credit card processing. And Patty's going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're joined by Matt over at StarShip, who's going to talk about V Technologies and StarShip as a UPS ready partner, Gold FedEx compatible solution. They work with small parcel, regional, and LTL carriers. They've been working in the mid-market space, leading provider for Sage and Microsoft Dynamics for years and years and years. They launched their Acumatica interface in 2016. And just a little bit about the workflow. We're going to talk about how Scanco will take a manufacturing order that comes into Acumatica and deliver all the details into the wireless devices on the manufacturing job floor and do all the activities that are required to assemble that item and send that information back into Acumatica, where StarShip can pick up all the details and select the best carrier based on all the rules of the shipment, where the customer is located, the dimensional weight of the package, and so forth. Serve all that information back into Acumatica, where APS can where the customer can use their credit card to pay for the item and update accounts receivable with all the tracking number information and get the lowest credit card processing rate. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and let Richard get started talking about Acumatica and automating the manufacturing process. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, and good morning and good afternoon to everybody, depending on where we are in the country. Tiny little bit of PowerPoint today. Thank you for the introduction already. You've heard we've been around since 1989. And today I'm actually going to be focusing on what's new, what's awesome, Some of you may have seen this up close and personal at the recent Acumatica roadshows, and you'll certainly be able to see us at Acumatica Summit. We are going to be a gold sponsor again this year. Happy to be a part of the Acumatica team. This will be my second time around at Summit, into my second year here, continuing to blaze the trail of excellence. You know, a very modest sentence, I admit, as an Acumatica ISV. And the customer map, I actually do need to update this. I got a couple more dots to add in Southern California, which I'm happy to say includes both manufacturing and warehousing. And then we got some more in the Southeast that we're going to be adding hopefully very soon. But as you can see, we have a nice group of customers throughout the US and Canada operating on a mix of our warehouse and manufacturing software, and some of our largest customers are working on both. So warehouse automation, as you can see in the upper right, this is now an Acumatica certified application. We can help you with your order fulfillment, purchase orders, physical counts, transfers, bin management. There's some neat tricks for complex barcoding and label printing. And both of our apps, I would say 99% of our customers right now are running on Android. iOS has kind of slipped into second place just because the barcoding hardware is not as good as what's out there for Android from Zebra and Honeywell right now. They're making really excellent stuff, so that's what we've kind of standardized on. And Windows is not an option for us on Acumatica. We look at that as sort of yesterday's news as far as mobile devices go, although they make an excellent server and desktop operating system. But we're actually going to start today with manufacturing. And the exciting news is this is no longer what our manufacturing application looks like. We've actually moved everything over and have developed a new application, including a whole bunch of new advanced features. And it looks a lot like our warehouse app because they are related. They're on the same platform. So we've done that bit of standardization. So without further ado, I'm going to get out of PowerPoint and show you around some of the neat new advanced features we have on our manufacturing application. And let's go here. All right, can everybody see okay? That looks pretty good. We're full screen now. So
you can see.
Manufacturing, great. I'm already logged in. For the sake of time, I've kind of skipped the login process. But for those of you who have seen the application before or have seen Warehouse, this will look very familiar, built on the same back end. And for now, these are the new applications that are available on our manufacturing platform. This is still a bit pre-release, so we're giving you a little bit of a look into the future, but we do have a couple of customers using this in their testing and in their production environments because this is where the new features live. So what I'm going to be able to show you today is a little bit about how we do labor entry and some of the neat new advanced labor stuff that we're doing, as well as moves and some of the new advanced moves that we're doing. So this all integrates extremely tightly into Acumatica's Manufacturing Edition, and we basically distill the transactions you need from what you're using in Acumatica itself. We distill it down to its bare essence so that the people that are on the floor in your shop can do their job and kind of get after it. So where most of our customers have started is with labor entry. So now we have not just regular labor, but advanced. But I'm going to go ahead and start with the basics, because this is basically going to be the same interface for both, and I'll show you the difference between regular and advanced on the back end. So first thing I'm going to want to do, I'm standing on my shop floor. I'm going to go over to my CNC machine. I'm ready to run a job, but I want to clock into it so that I can start doing that job and have my labor tracked accurately. So I'll scan my name badge. There's my employee number, and then the next thing is my manufacturing traveler will have my production number and work center on it. Now that's a single scan that gets both of them. And I have my description, my work center, all that stuff's brought in. And this is, in this case, is a PCB assembly. And then I need to pick which shift I'm on. So I can just drill in there or scan it if I have it on a barcode, if I'm running multi-shift. And now I actually have two options depending on the way the job is. I can run off labels if I need to, or right at the top of the screen here, I can clock in. So I've clocked into my job, and I can now do a couple of different things here. I can hand my same device over to my coworker so that they can clock into their job, and then the next person can clock into their job. And the system will track the running clocks and all of these jobs at the same time in the background. You don't have to worry about that. And when I'm done with my job, I don't even have to clock out on the same handheld. So I can clock out on any handheld that's attached to the system. Now, what's changing with advanced labor? Well, the interface is going to be the same, but let me go over and I'll show you some neat stuff in our portal here. Because the biggest thing that we've enabled is dilution of labor. So for example, I gave you the example of me running one CNC. We have a company that we're working with where we have one employee that would be running, you know, potentially 3 or 4 different manufacturing machines at the same time. And they're not hands-on. It's set up the machine, let it run, but they want to track the labor that's going into all those things accurately. So we have, this is the application settings for my system now. So if I'm doing labor advanced, the labor entry screen is going to look the same, but in the back, I'll be able to control how that labor is batched by sales orders, by dates. I can have scrap dilution. I can have time dilution. This is the big one. If I'm running 4 machines, I don't want to run those labor tracking like I'm 4 people. I want it to run like I'm 1 person and then divide it up proportionally. And then we have a whole bunch of other settings in there, including how we behave with lots, serials, returns, distribution behavior. This stuff we set up in concert with the customer as well as the VAR as part of the whole implementation process. But we have a lot of flexibility now to how we deal with labor. So now that I've been yapping away on this, that's also to allow me to have a little bit of time to build some time up on my punch clock here so I can clock back into the job and then put my shift number in one more time. And you can see the state is that it's 2:13 Eastern now, and there is my state. I'm clocked in. Now I have the option of adding in a bin if I have completed something here. You know, if I want to increment the quantity on this work center, but if I just want to add labor time, all I have to do is hit the clock out at the top here. And then I can review that if I want, but if that looks good, I can send that up to Acumatica, or that can be configured to auto send. And now that direct labor will show up on that job. The other big thing that we've added in is support for additional types of moves. Before it was pretty line by line, but we've gotten to the point where, you know, we have some of our customers are doing, you know, what I would call the in thing right now in manufacturing, which is mass customization. So picture you're a company that's building out signs for hotels and conference centers. You got to do 100+ unique signs across the job. And it would be a nightmare among nightmares if you had to scan 100 of them at a time to go from station to station on the system. So we can do what's called an SO quick move and actually grab a sales order and move it from place to place. It'll grab all of the subsidiary production numbers and move them along the work center path. So this one I got to get the correct operation for. There's your data validation. There we go. And then I can move it from its current work center into a completion bin in the case of this. So if I scroll up here and show you the keyboard, I got my sales order, all of the subsidiary production and operation numbers, the description, the work center, the warehouse, all of this is done with a minimal number of scans. And then I can put it away to any valid bin in the system when it's done. So again, we're really looking to save you time on the floor, save your customers time when they're in their operations. Because in manufacturing, the name of the game is really not to spend all your time in the handheld. It's to scan what you need, track the operation, and get on with the job. And just like on advanced labor, there's going to be different settings to change on how the SO quick move is going to behave. So it's going to be different stuff for how it releases in Acumatica, checking item aliases, and so on and so forth. And then the last but not least step we have is completions. And this would be to complete a sales order into, basically take it out of WIP and put it into finished goods. And this is going to look familiar. It's going to look very similar to SO Quick Move because that's basically the same style operation. It's 2 ways of getting to the same thing. Let's use the other operation code there. And then pick another bin. And we're done. Nice and easy. The last application that we will be adding into the new manufacturing is actually one of our originals. It's material issue. We just don't have it ready in the new app yet. Basically, our customers needed advanced labor and SO Quick moved first, so that's the part of it that we developed and have released first. But by the time, I would say we're about a month out from having the complete new manufacturing application available. This is something that our existing customers can test right now if they want to. If you are on this call and you are an existing Scanco Acumatica customer, reach out to me if you want to find out how to do that. It does require that you have the most up-to-date plugin installed in your Acumatica to be able to access all this stuff. Now that we've done the basics on manufacturing, I'm going to go over to warehouse for a minute. So I'm just going to actually, let's go ahead and just exit out of that application and go over to Acumatica Warehouse. And again, this should look pretty familiar. Both applications built on the same back end, nice consistent interface. And I'm actually just going to concentrate on showing you what's new today. I'm going to start with that. So I'm going to change over to one of my other, guess I got logged out for inactivity there. Just go ahead and log back in. So go ahead and log in. Very complex demo passwords we have. All right, then I'm going to pick my profile. And now across both applications, the profile is how you do user access management and user level management. I'm going to pick the company that I'm working in. We do support all the multi-company features that Acumatica does when you get our advanced versions. Let's go over to distribution. And then I'm going to actually go over to my retail warehouse today. So what you'll see is, for anybody that's seen the demo before, this is going to look pretty familiar. We have inventory transfers, physical counts, sales orders, purchase orders, and utilities. I'm going to start today with one of our new sales order applications. So SO by sales order is what it sounds like. You start with the sales order. By item, you would start with a vendor code and then associate things by vendor. But today we're actually going to start with Confirm Ship Advanced. This is our newest application on the sales order side, and this allows you to do a basic directed shipment. So first thing I need to do is get a shipment number. I'm going to drill in and get my order number 1575. This corresponds to the Acumatica shipment number. And you can see if you look at the screen, I now have instructions. It's going to tell me where to go, what to pick, and which lot number to pick. So the first thing I got to do is go to the bin. Now here's what happens if I try to scan a different bin or a different barcode there. So it's not valid, it's not going to let me go there, and it's going to make me go to the correct bin number and scan it, which would be my storage bin. And then I'm going to have to enter in my part number. Again, if I scan the wrong one, it's going to give me an invalid part number. So if I hide the keyboard here, I'll just show you what's been going on so far. The system's telling me to go to bin storage, pick item food cola 12, pick lot LRX 5033 there. Excuse me. All right, and you can see that it's the first and only line on this particular order. My unit of measure is eaches. Now I got to allocate it to a lot number, and I can drill in here and pick my lot number. Now this is actually one of the places where we give you a little bit of latitude. So 15033 down at the bottom is the lot that the order is allocated to. But what if you get to a situation where you're out on the floor and there's damage on that particular lot, something's not right, and you have to allocate it to something else? We actually do allow the option for an override. So if I pick a lot, it'll make you confirm, excuse me, whether or not you'd like to use a different lot. In that case, I'm going to say yes, I do want to override it. And I got 100 on this order, and I could short ship it if I want to in this case. Let's go ahead and ship 25 of those. Once that's done, I think that's the only line on this order, but if I want to continue, I can go with other lines, fill the rest of it out of a different lot if I wanted to. If I drill back in here, I can go back to that lot 33. Now you can see I've shipped 25 against one lot. I got 75 left on here. I could do another batch 25 off this lot. So the system is very flexible. One of the great uses for this with allocations, we have customers that have linear product, like they're doing wire and cable on large rolls, and they don't want somebody to allocate an order for 20 feet of something to a new roll of 1,000. So they might want to force that allocation to a roll that's partially depleted, just to give you an example, but it ties right into Acumatica's system. So if that all looks good, I'll go ahead and send it. And now that shipment has been confirmed in Acumatica. The allocation's been made into a hard allocation, and then StarShip can go in there and do the shipping process. Just to give you a couple other tours around the program here, show you a couple more applications before I wrap it up here. I'm going to change over to my wholesale warehouse. Again, multiple warehouse support. And if you have multiple warehouses, and you could actually restrict who can see what warehouse based on which location profile they're on. So we give you a lot of flexibility, again, on how the system works to make it really fit your application. So let's just go ahead and do a purchase order. Let's say I want to receive a PO by order, and we support regular orders. We're adding in more order types as we go there. But if I log in, I can see my latest purchase order number is there. Let's go ahead and pick this first one. All right, so there's my purchase order number, my vendor, my warehouse, and I'm going to drill in and see what items are on this particular order. Let's go ahead and receive my computers. And all of this stuff that I'm doing with the lookups, I can also do with barcode scanning. That's primarily how it's going to work in the real world. But I'd like to show you the level of live data we have on these handhelds here. Again, if I drill in, I just received one item, so now that's in red. You can see the rest of the items that are available, the Lego set, the warehouse it's destined for, the quantity left, and the quantity on the order. That all looks good. I've got them all here. And like you saw on the shipment, we support lot and serial in the same exact way that every other spot in Acumatica's distribution system supports it. So we've done a little bit on sales order, a little on purchase order. Physical counts are pretty cool. I'm not going to go too deep into this one, but the long and the short of it is you set it up in Acumatica and you execute it from the handheld. So you establish your count reference number within Acumatica, you load it up from the handheld, and then you start counting from here, and then you send it back up to Acumatica to verify it. So this particular count is only going to be for this bin and for a small selection of item numbers. And quantity counted is 0. It's never going to show you the book quantity during the count. It's going to make you count it for real. And then you basically click in and you enter your quantity. If that looks good, you can send it up. Or if I don't want to send this up because I just picked that number out of thin air, I can actually hit my review button, hit action, and then just delete my activity there. We give you this review function across the board before you send stuff. If you're out there on the floor and you've made a typo and you need to self-correct before you go, that's a great way to do it. But that really covers the basics of both manufacturing and warehouse on Scanco for Acumatica. So again, feel free to ask any questions for the end of the presentation. I know this is a little bit, but I'd be happy to put together the full hour for you if you have a prospect or if you'd like to put together an internal one for your own VAR's Acumatica team. Thank you all very much.
And now we have Matt St. John with StarShip talk about automating the shipping process. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Adrian, and thanks everyone for taking time out of your day for our webinar. So, game plan today, I'll do a quick overview of StarShip, the shipping solution for Acumatica. So center of my demo screen is the StarShip program. A nice thing with StarShip, as a shipper, I can actually work directly inside of StarShip. So as you can see in the upper left-hand side, we have our source star document. So StarShip can pull by shipment, by sales order, or by customer number. For today's purpose, I'll just grab an order or by shipment number. With the source document, if your pick sheets or whatever you're shipping against are barcoded, most certainly can hook up just a regular wedge type scanner and scan that barcode. We also have a magnifying glass lookup here. With the magnifying glass up, the lookup, I can start applying filters. Here I just have by shipment date, so I can then manually select orders. From here, I can get into doing batch processing. But for this demo, we'll just grab one order here. So StarShip is going to pull the order header line item detail from, in this case, my Acumatica shipment. So on the shipment tab is really our order header information. These fields, map fields, really have a one-to-many relationship. So based off of the ship via, StarShip's automatically going to populate the carrier, service, billing, account information for your shippers. A nice thing with that, fully going to streamline everything. If you're doing third-party or collect shipments, we can help automate that whole process. And a lot of times we work with clients and they said, oh, yep, we have a note on the pick sheet that says, hey, make sure you ship third-party and change it and assign the customer's account number. But with StarShip, we can completely automate that process. So sender information, of course, that's coming from the company that the shipment is being pulled from in Acumatica. We do support multiple companies, warehouses, locations, and the recipient is the ship to from this order or shipment. StarShip will also do address validation. We validate zip +4. We also validate and will correct the commercial residential flag. So going to help save on those address correction fees as well as that residential commercial flag correction fee. Down below is the packaging view. So this is where StarShip gets into item to box detail. So here I have my 2 items from my shipment and originated from my order. And what's this order here, what StarShip also can do, we can either automatically learn packaging scenarios or you can manually set them up. These packaging scenarios, they are a one-to-one relationship, so it is 1 item, 1 box. But in this case here, StarShip knows, hey, every time they ship this laptop and every time they ship this hockey table, it goes into the laptop going into a laptop box and the air hockey table going into an air hockey box. So automatically package this for me. If I was doing this item to box detail or packaging inside of Acumatica in the shipment, that's how StarShip would also pull this order in. But nice thing is, if you're not doing it inside of the shipment screen in Acumatica, with these packaging, StarShip will automatically package it for your shipper. So on the packaging here, I'm just going to click on this. This is our custom packaging. So we allow you to create and store as many boxes, bags, bales, what have you inside of StarShip. Nice thing with using custom packaging, it's going to automatically populate the dimensions. So I know nowadays with UPS and FedEx, dim weights are a big deal. So we will populate those dimensions, send those off to the carrier. And here with the actual/bill weight, actual weight would be if I had a scale hooked up, we can automatically read from a scale. My system, I'm just grabbing the weights from inside of Acumatica. So here's the actual bill weight. But if there was a dimensional difference, that's what this field right here would show. So we're going to help save on those dimensional correction fees as well. All right, line item detail. Again, mapping this information from Acumatica, but StarShip also has its own database for your inventory items. Can, if you'd like, automatically start storing your inventory items. And the reason we do this, for instance here, this is an international shipment. We actually can store all the required international data. Schedule B harmonized codes actually have our own lookup. So as a shipper, if this information was missing, I can quickly come in here. I can look up by partial code or by description. And then, again, all the other required information is going to be stored right here. Once I input this information and then actually ship this or save this shipment, StarShip will remember that information for next time. So really, name of the game, streamlining your shipments, less clicking, less things my shipper has to manually fill out, the better. Next step is rate shopping. So I'm going to just click the green dollar icon here, or I can go to the rate shop screen. So with StarShip, we currently have about 26 different carrier connections. That's a direct live connection to carriers. So that's UPS, FedEx, USPS, LTL carriers, some 3PL carriers, just actually always adding new carriers. And for 3PL, we actually just rolling out our integration with Worldwide Express. So again, always keeping up to date, adding new carriers. But again, we're making the live call, sending your account information to the carrier. In this case here, my demo machine, I just have a test account set up with UPS. But if I had UPS, FedEx, again, LTL carriers, I would be able to see all the different rates, the service options. That's my live negotiated rate that it's returning. I can also see list rates if I wanted to. Okay? These aren't sitting in a staging table. Tomorrow, if UPS upped the, say, a fuel surcharge, StarShip would automatically pick that up. So all my different carrier service options. From here, if I wanted to, I can change, go by business days, total days, And as a shipper, I can manually make a change. We can do carrier selections or automate this whole rating process. You're allowed to set up rules with your own criteria. So, hey, maybe I want to do a rule, StarShip automatically rate this and select the carrier that's the least expensive, or maybe least expensive, least amount of delivery days, so on and so forth. So I do allow for this whole process to be automated. I'm going to go on the charges tab here. So to actually process this shipment, I don't have to click the charges tab. I just like to show this because with StarShip, you can also get into setting up freight rules. So anyone out there, if you maybe offer free shipping over X amount of dollars, or here I'm giving this customer a 10% discount. And as you can see, it's just based off the recipient's name. Freight rules can be percentages, min-maxes, flat rates, calculations, and again, the triggers or criteria for these rules. I have recipient name. I mean, you can go all the way down to line item detail. So maybe you had a special item, you wanted to, when it ships, you wanted to add a certain surcharge onto it. You could set up a rule, and of course, anytime that item is shipped, that rule will take into effect. So we have the carrier integrations. Anyone doing e-commerce integrations, we do have integrations with 6 or 7 different e-commerce sites. So say Amazon, of course, WooCommerce, Big E-commerce. So again, that's a direct integration. We can actually pull the order information. You can ship and process, and StarShip would send the information back up to the e-commerce site. When I am ready to actually ship and process this order, I am going to then just click the ship and process button, or the F5 key is the shortcut key. There is also a save icon here. So you could, if you needed to maybe stage an order, you could start the process, click the save button, and then as a shipper, I could come back and finish this shipment at a later time. But as soon as I click ship and process, what's happening is StarShip's updating the carrier, sending them the information. In this case, it's being UPS. It's going to return the tracking information, and then also sending all the information behind the scenes into Acumatica. And I'll show you that right back in a second here. But once I click ship and process, receive my shipping documents. For the sake of the demo, I'm just previewing them. Most certainly, these can go right to a printer. I'm also using what we call our smart label. So as you can see, the smart label will print a shipping label and packing list together. So this would need to go to a laser printer and would need to be printed to paper. But with StarShip, you have the option, of course, you can send these shipping labels to a thermal printer. If you want to use StarShip's packing list, you can most certainly send that to a thermal printer. Maybe you want to save some paper, use the free labels you get from the carrier, or you can also just send it to a laser printer and print it on paper. So box 1, get our label for box 2 here in a second. And then because this was an international shipment, StarShip can generate the international documents. Same thing if this was an LTL shipment, we can do bill of lading forms, pallet labels, carton labels, so on and so forth. But order header, line item detail, again, because all that information is in StarShip, automatically going to populate on the document. And then our documents can be customized. So down here, I have this sign, name, date, kind of all these standard static fields already populating for me. Again, one less thing I have to worry about as a shipper. I don't have to stop and fill anything out. Here's the commercial invoice. With our documents, you can also create unlimited templates when you customize them. You can also start assigning printing rules. So maybe customer ABC needs the, say, packing list to look a little bit different. You can create a template for that customer, assign a printing rule, and then that certain packing list would only print when the order or the shipment is for customer ABC. Okay. So here's the commercial invoice. All right. So click ship and process. As a shipper, I receive my shipping documents, and I'm now going to go into that rinse repeat cycle. Just scan my next or type in my next shipment number and move on and get that order out the door. So I'll just minimize StarShip here for a second, and I'll jump into Acumatica. I'll bring up that shipment so I can show you the write back. So here's that shipment. I'm going to go to the packaging screen first. So here's the reverse translation. We're going to write back the box ID that I put each item in. We're going to write tracking information. Reference fields, it's up to you what you write back. So I have my system set up. I'm going to write back the service as well as the ship date. And then on the notes tab, we're going to write back, as you can see, all that information also on the notes tab. And the ship setting, I'm going to write back freight cost and freight amount. Okay, so what you're charging the customer, and as well as what the carrier is going to charge you. Okay, so again, that's a live return from, in this case, UPS. So that's my contract rate. So here I can quickly compare the two and make sure I'm not shorting myself. Also included with StarShip, we have our e-Notify program. I'll bring this right up here and log back in. So with e-Notify, nice thing is you can create your own custom email templates that you can send out to your customers. These can go as soon as your shipper clicks ship and process. You can delay them by a certain number of hours or minutes. You can also just, what most of our clients do, they set a time. Hey, at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night, shoot out all these emails. But very easy to create. As you can see, you can do item to box detail. Tracking numbers are hyperlinked. You can do promo codes if you want. With these templates, you can also, just like our other documents, set up, instead of printing rules, you can set up emailing rules. So maybe you only want this template with the coupon code to go to certain customers. You can most certainly assign a rule, and then again, this email would only go to those certain customers. Dashboard program is our reporting tool. So nice thing with Dashboard, e-Notify, it can be installed on as many workstations as you like. They do not require any additional seats or licenses. So really with StarShip, I need a seat or license for whoever's going to be inside StarShip shipping at the same time. So here, if I needed to, if I had this on the front office and someone called up, hey, where's my package? We can track right from Dashboard. It's going to help save. Now I don't have to contact the warehouse. Hey, did this ship? Where is it? Right from here, I can see when it shipped, the estimated delivery, of course, status, the packaging. I can even tell my customer what was sent. If I wanted to, I could go all the way down to proof of delivery. So if the carrier supported it and it was required, I can actually see a signature. Some of the other performance indicators I have up here, of course, shipment view, shipment by carrier, shipment by mode, by status. We have shipment by user. So if you could see who's been shipping what, each of your StarShip users can have their own login, own security rules. And a bunch of canned reports that we have, of course, all the shipment history reports. We have a late delivery report. That's simply going to show you any package that was not delivered on time. And another one is the charge comparison report. This report will simply going to show you all your shipments. It's going to have an applied, so that's what you charge the customer for the shipment. It's going to have a column that's the contract rate. So that's your negotiated rate that you have with the carrier, so what you're going to be charged by the carrier. And then the third column is the plus or minus. So real nice quick report you can run. Make sure you're not losing money on your shipments. And really, that's a quick flyby of StarShip. Again, really appreciate everyone taking time out of your day. Please feel free to reach out to me if you would like to do a live one-on-one demo. And now I'm going to hand it off to Patty so she can show you how APS can save you money and easily process your credit cards.
Thank you, Matt. Richard, great presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, for automation, security, and compliance through the manufacturing and warehouse management scanning solution from Scanco, and then all the way through to delivering packages directly to your customer, keeping track, getting the best pricing with shipping with StarShip. Now, how exactly can American Payment Solutions help? We can actually help by providing you a savings with your existing credit card processing rates and fees that will help you to offset the cost of the two enhancements that are being presented to you today. And I should say it's more than two enhancements coming from Scanco and StarShip. I should say the solutions. So how do we exactly provide you with that level of savings? Believe it or not, it all starts with the fee structures. Now, many of you are very happy with flat rate structures because you have one simple fee, makes it easy for you to reconcile at the end of the month, no changes, no surprises. The bad news is Visa and MasterCard offer many programs that will lower your rates instantly without you having to take any extra steps. They do require additional data to be supplied, but I'm going to show you exactly how easy we make this and how we can guarantee that lower savings for you. And I'll speak to it on the next slide. First, I wanted to explain the rate structure. So with flat rate, you're not able to take advantage of the programs that are put in place by the card brands. With tiered pricing, your current processor basically allows for 3 different tiers. They would be fully qualified, mid-qualified, and non-qualified brackets. Now, what we find when we analyze statements that are based on a tiered fee structure is that most of the transactions are not qualified. And when we ask, what's the criteria behind this? Typically, merchants don't know what the criteria is, and the control is held by the processor. So, of course, the majority of the time, non-qualified transactions are more expensive transactions. And then there's Interchange Plus. Interchange Plus is when you have a direct billing based on what the card brands are charging. So the hard costs from the card brands are passed along directly to you, the merchant. And then, of course, you can negotiate a markup fee with your processor. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very small piece of information that I'm offering you. American Payment Solutions has been in business for well over 25 years. We are a full-service merchant provider. See us as your merchant mentor. Get curious about how much money you're leaving on the table. We are happy to provide you with a free audit and show you exactly where there is room for savings. Now, the programs that I was talking about, one of the most important is called Level 3 Processing. Level 3 Processing, believe it or not, has been available since 2008 and officially as of 2012. Now, the way it works is that Visa and MasterCard offer a lower rate to businesses who process credit card transactions within the continental U.S., and they are business-to-business or business-to-government transactions. 1 in 5 American-based B2B companies process some or all of their transactions through Level 3 data. Now, the average company can save well over, I should say, $18,000 a year. And would you believe that 80% of companies are not aware of Level 3 and are not taking advantage of it? And I'm going to show you exactly what the data fields are being required by Visa MasterCard in order to provide you with the lower rates. So say, for example, your current rate is 2.65. The rate can actually go down to 1.85 the minute you supply these fields. And once you supply the fields, and the rate goes down, depending on the volume of the account or the transaction, the rate can go as low as 0.05%. We take all of these fields directly from Acumatica and deliver them on your behalf to Visa MasterCard. Now, many people will ask us, why not process through Authorize.net? What's the difference? There is a huge difference. Number 1, you are not able to take advantage of Level 3 rates. Number 2, you have to go to so many different providers in order to get an answer to any question regarding an issue. So who fixes it? Who tests the updates, etc.? If you process with American Payment Solutions, you get all of that in one. So you get Level 3 processing. We're the gateway, software, support, and merchant provider. One-stop shop. Now, what exactly would the Level 3 savings look like? Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, we provide free audits of your current rates and fees. We are able to pinpoint exactly where and how much we will be able to save you on a monthly basis and on a yearly average. You can see on the screen in this particular case, and this is a true analysis result from one of our merchants, we were able to save them over $1,000 per month. Now, I've seen a savings of over $112,000 per year, and I'm not exaggerating. You, on the back end, will not have to do anything different. We will supply the fields for you. Now, in addition to Level 3 processing, we also offer what you see on the screen. We do not charge for installation, setup, training, maintenance, or support. Level 3 processing is completely automated, so you do not have to worry about keying in the different data fields required in order to qualify for the lower rate. We also offer 12-hour funding. American Express Ops Blue is a program similar to Level 3 from American Express, not as aggressive, but it definitely offers lower rates. We also provide free PCI support. We have a full team in-house dedicated exclusively to making sure all of our merchants become and remain PCI compliant. Our support team is available 24 hours, 7 days a week. And if you call our support team, you will have a live human being on the other side of the line, guaranteed. We offer very transparent statements and guaranteed rates. You don't have to worry about the rates creeping up on you. We also offer integrated EMV chip functionality for those retailers out there, so you do not have to worry about the compliance issues any longer. Now, what exactly needs to happen if you do want to obtain a free audit? All we need from you is a copy of 2 of your most recent merchant statements. Once we receive those statements, we will analyze them and call you back with a full presentation explaining to you how much the bank is making off of your account, how much the card brands are making, and how much the processors are making. And then, as I mentioned before, we will pinpoint the areas in which you can save money, and you can always review them with us, and the worst case scenario, go back and make your processor lower your rates for you. Best case scenario is, of course, switching to American Payment Solutions. Now, I'd like everybody on this call to take the challenge. Send us your merchant statement. Allow us to show you the level of savings that we can offer you through level 3 processing. Purchase the solutions that you've seen today if you're interested. Let us help you offset the cost. If we're not able to beat or match any competitor's rates and fees, we will pay you $500 for simply allowing us to analyze your statement. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing us to present the solution. I'm going to jump into a quick software presentation of how exactly the credit card processing will happen within Acumatica. Now, I am in the Finance and Accounts Receivable tab, and you could see that I'm under Customer Payment Methods. Now, in Customer Payment Methods, we take advantage of Acumatica's existing customer information and security settings, so you don't have to reset all of that up. Under each customer, you can set up as many credit cards as you'd like. We also offer the option to turn on ACH payments, as you can see on the screen. Now, based on the security settings, you can create new cards or edit cards, and this doesn't only happen under the customer payment methods. You can also do this on the fly during order entry or if you're applying a payment against an invoice. Now, notice how once I clicked on the edit button, the payment information appears. Now, if I was entering a brand new card, this area would be available for me to key it in, and then I could fill in the rest of the fields. You can see that we're also, on top of the standard fields, offering an email address field, which will receive an email every time you complete a transaction using this card. So it's a huge advantage. Now, once you have the cards set up, you can definitely process transactions using the cards that you have on file or using the brand new cards that you enter on the fly. Now, you can set up default credit cards if you'd like right within the customer payments method. If you do have that default card, it will appear instantly when you choose the payments tab. I'm going to start a sales order really quick here. And you can see that what we do is we follow Acumatica's standard process. I'm simply processing a sales order, choosing an item. And then what I'll do is I'm going to pre-authorize the transaction. So one of the nice things about pre-authorization is that you can actually pre-authorize without a shipping fee. And when you're ready to capture, you can add the shipping fee. It's entirely up to you. Or you can have a direct capture right at the sales order level. So let's just say, for example, my sales order is ready and I'm going to pre-authorize. My default credit card is here. And remember, I mentioned you could add a brand new card on the fly, or you can choose from a list of cards if you'd like. And again, this is all based on the security settings. Now I'm going to pre-authorize without adding the shipping fee. Notice how simple it is. All I have to do is click on the authorize button. The transaction will go through our gateway, verify the credit card information is correct. If there was any discrepancies, you would get a pop-up window indicating what the discrepancy is. And then as part of setup, we allow you to choose to allow the user to continue even with an error message. Simply click OK, or stop them and make them go back and make the correction. Once the transaction is complete and approved, you'll see this green checkbox here, and you'll also see that the authorized button is grayed out. At this point, I can either capture the transaction or continue with my standard Acumatica process. Let's just say a few days went by and I'm ready to create my shipment. Again, I want to emphasize the fact that I don't step outside of Acumatica and I'm following standard Acumatica procedures. I'm simply going to ship the items. And what I'm going to do also is add a shipping fee. So once the items are listed and you have your shipment screen available, simply go to your shipment settings and add your shipping fee as usual. Let's just say it's $50. And then just go back to your actions and confirm your shipment. Now, once the shipment is confirmed, you can also now invoice it. Now, one of the nice things about invoicing, under your payments and applications, you can actually apply multiple payment types against those invoices. And like I said, you can skip right past the pre-authorization process and go directly into capturing on your invoices. And you can process individual transactions or process in batches. Another nice thing to mention is that you do not have to go outside of the Payments and Information tab. You can always use the same tab. We also provide you with a really nice audit trail so you can keep track of exactly where the transaction is in the process. Now notice how the amount of the transaction has been updated to reflect the shipping fee. And now I'm able to capture the transaction. Simple click of a button once again. And once the transaction is complete, my audit trail is going to be updated to reflect the fact that my transaction has been captured. All of this is happening in Acumatica, and it's also happening within the APS portal. Now, the reason I like to show the APS portal is because of the expense reporting functionality that we offer, and also to show you how simple it is to check on the current day transactions, for example. So just so you can get an idea, a couple of drop-down arrows here. We basically make it impossible for you not to find a transaction. There are literally thousands of reports available. And our project managers typically like to go through a mini process review of your existing procedures, mimic them onto our system, and then show you any of the new features, new reports that are available that you might be able to take advantage of. So this is the transaction that we just processed. All of the information flowing back and forth live. You can create the reports right off of the APS portal, APS PACE portal, or you can actually see them within Acumatica as well. Like I said, there are additional features in payments and application. You can apply the payments directly there. And this concludes my presentation. Adrian, I'd like to hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Patty. I'm just going to flash up my screen here. I just wanted to real quickly just inform the audience that we're super excited over here at ERP VAR. We're going to be launching a new website into December that's going to accommodate both VARs and ISVs, where we can leverage the relationships of one another and build new relationships with customers seeking value-added resellers for Acumatica and the different ERPs that are looking for new ERPs or switching ERPs or support on their current ERPs. So this is just an example of the location page when a customer, prospective customer, comes into our website seeking a new VAR. This is an example of the location page that they'll see with the VAR on the left that might reside in that area. There'll be exclusive territories. So I just wanted to flash this up there and let you know that we will be releasing this new website at the end of December. We'll have webinars about this, so we hope that you join those webinars and learn more about ERP VAR. So Patty, Matt, and Richard, they all have direct contact here. And I just want to thank you again for taking time out to join us today. We know your time is hard to come by, and we really appreciate you spending it with us.